Hello and welcome to Wisconsin in Focus, powered by the Center Square. I'm JD Davidson, the Center Square Midwest Regional Editor. Joining me today is Ben Yount, Wisconsin contributor for the Center Square. Ben, how are things today?
I have given myself a cold. We went from 15 below last week or 2 weeks ago to now it was almost 50 degrees just the other day. So predictably, my nose decided that it wants to do one of those things where only one half of it wants to work at the same time. And all of that just, sort of. So if I sound like I'm yelling down a tube for a roll of paper towels, that may be my head, but it may actually just be my voice. I may just, have that wonderful welcome to a break in the winter cold.
Yeah, I feel like that is 6 months out of the year in the Midwest, and that should go from not feeling well to, I just feel normal, because it doesn't go away.
Half the year it's allergies, half the year it's the hey, today is 50, tomorrow's 30 with snow. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. We are recording this on Thursday, February 1st, 2024. Ben, some may not know Wisconsin actually offers two kinds of school choice. First, there's the typical voucher program where parents can decide between public, charter, and private schools with taxpayer help to foot the bill for school-related expenses. Also, Wisconsin offers a chance that only a few other states that I know of do when it comes to public school choice. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, open enrollment allows parents, families, to choose another public school to send their children to. Most of what we traditionally think of as school choice is kids going to a charter school or a voucher school or a private school. That Wisconsin school choice supporters say kids are lucky enough that if mom and dad can get their kid into even a Catholic school for a better education, then the state helps with that. This open enrollment allows you to say, well, I don't want to go to the school where I live, my home district, but 20 minutes outside of town, there's a really good school district there. I'd like to enroll there. And in all honesty, that's a lot of what open enrollment is. People wanting to jump just over the district line. You don't have a lot of folks, say, up in Eau Claire, northwestern Wisconsin, who want to drive their kids a couple of hours down to send them to a southeast Wisconsin, excellent public school. But yeah, it is sort of just colloquially known as the other school choice program, even though it's probably the most popular of Wisconsin's school choice programs. Nearly 70,000 kids have taken open enrollment for the current school year, and all expectations are that should go up next year. But yeah, while the picture that people have of school choice are kids getting into private schools or voucher schools, you've got a lot of kids going from one traditional public school to another traditional public school here in Wisconsin.
Yeah, a couple things I want to touch on about it. One, I know Ohio, the places I lived, Ohio, Texas, and Alabama, all offered the same thing. However, there are always kind of little caveats. So what are reasons that you couldn't open enroll in Wisconsin?
The most frequent reason why someone is denied an open enrollment is space. And that's part of the problem. We talked with Quentin Claybon, who does all matters of educational research over at the Institute for Reforming Government. And he said that you have, in most schools in the state, you have enrollment falling. Just sort of a demographic bubble is working its way through public education. And you have more schools that have more room than they actually have students, particularly bigger school districts, Milwaukee schools, Madison schools, though they are net losers. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Space, however, is an easy, convenient excuse for a school district to deny someone an open enrollment spot that you have, particularly in the Milwaukee suburbs. You have some of the state's best public schools, just really excellent public high schools. And there is a sense, again, this is not something that, you can quantify. This is not the, going on the record with the quote, but the sense is you have some schools that don't want to open enroll because they either don't want to introduce students that they just don't think are a good fit. They're worried about their graduation rate or their overall GPA. So the most common reason why someone would not be allowed to go from their home school to the neighboring school is space, but what that space really means is sort of amorphous. And, all of the studies on school choice, all of the research into how this works suggests that, maybe they could figure out, a little bit more transparency. If this really is an issue of not having enough desks or seats or classrooms, then that can be solved as well.
Sure. So what's going on in Madison?
Well, Madison schools are one of the top 5 net losers when it comes to open enrollment. More kids leave Madison schools than come in. And you have McFarland and Grantsburg and Medford schools who are among the biggest net winners. In fact, McFarland schools are the biggest net winner for open enrollment. And McFarland is a small school district just outside of Madison. And the numbers appear that as you have families who are interested in getting their kids out of Madison metropolitan schools, the big public school district, they're going to Medford. And because, open enrollment allows you to not have to take the old way of school choice, which is you moved, right? That was always the other choice. I don't like my kid's school here. Honey, pack up the basement. We're moving. McFarland is close enough to Madison that it's not really that much longer of a drive to get your kids to school. Now, that is one of the things. If you do open enroll, you got to get your kid to school. There's no bus that's going to come all the way across town.
Yeah, I was going to ask if busing's required, but obviously it's not. And I'm assuming the money follows the student because schools get money per pupil for attendance.
Yeah. Wisconsin is one of the many states that pays based on butts in seats. And this is also one of the reasons why a number of communities are not that upset about open enrollment, because they're getting students and they're getting money. And look, if you've got good and thriving schools and the reputation of your school is top notch, that brings families to your community. And Madison really isn't interesting. Dane County is the area of the state that is growing the fastest, growing the most. But as you watch, it is communities like McFarland that are growing because there are an awful lot of parents who say publicly, say anecdotally, say on social media that they want nothing to do with Madison metropolitan schools. And, anybody who's got kids, when you move, it's not just drive time. It's not just where's the quick trip. It comes down a lot of times to school districts and what's the best fit. And so, open enrollment really does. When you get down into the numbers, there's some interesting stories to tell. But, we've got 375 words over at the Center Square, so we don't get to tell them all.
Sure. And I'm interested to see where this plays out in Wisconsin and other states over the next couple of decades to see what kind of an impact it has on public education.
A story that we're going to be writing probably Monday on the first day of open enrollment. We're working on it now. The folks at School Choice Wisconsin just sent me the note that now more than 400 private schools are taking part in the other school choice programs. That's the most schools, I think, ever in the state. And now half the private schools in Wisconsin have signed up to be part of a choice program. And you're exactly right that you're going to have a tipping point at which a certain number of kids just don't go to either a public school or their public school. And because money follows kids, that's going to be a huge shift in how schools are paid for.
I think it's one of the things that we're not talking about and people don't think about, but we're going to have to pay attention to in the years and decades to come. That's all the time we have. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. For Ben Yount, I'm JD Davidson. Thanks for listening and please subscribe.
Audible is a great way to gain access to an ever-growing selection of audiobooks. They've got what everyone's listening to, bestsellers, new releases, that story you've been waiting for. Follow the link in our show description to get 30 days of Audible free.